Hey there, vcehhd students. My name is Andy. I'm a VC Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video, we're going to look at illness and disease. This is relevant for Unit 3 HHD for the 2025 to 2029 HHD study design. If you don't already, you might like to follow us on social media. We've got an Instagram, as you can see there, the handle at Health Resources Hub, and also a TikTok. And we've also got a Facebook page where you can like and follow us. And so on these social media channels, we will release new opportunities throughout the year, as well as alerts to our new videos that are coming out on our YouTube channel. So if you follow us, you won't miss out on any of those. We've also got our email there if you'd like to get in touch, info@thehrh.net.au. So what part of the course does this relate to? So for Unit 3, you can see there the key knowledge and the key skill that relates to the concepts of health and well-being, illness, and the dynamic and subjective nature of these concepts. So we're talking about illness, okay, in the first key knowledge point in Unit 3. And then you can see the key skill there. And so a reminder that the key skill is putting that key knowledge into action, is explaining that dynamic and subjective nature of health and well-being and illness. And we've talked about the subjective nature of health and well-being in a previous video. So if you haven't had a look at that, go back and check it out. So what is the difference between illness and disease? So although disease isn't specifically mentioned as part of the key knowledge point, it still is useful, I think, to understand what disease is, because it helps you, I think, to understand then what that term illness refers to. So it says there that illness is different to disease because illness is a subjective concept related to a personal experience of a disease. So what that means is that two people might have the same disease, and as you can see there, a disease is a physical or mental disturbance involving symptoms, dysfunction, or tissue damage. So there's lots of different types of diseases, and you've probably heard of some: type 1 diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease. But the way in which an individual will experience that disease will be different from one person to another. And that way in which they experience it is what illness refers to. So a couple of different people that might have the same disease might experience different amounts of pain, okay, and that's related to their illness, how they experience the disease. And that's why illness is subjective, because it's different from person to person. Illness is also dynamic, that it can sort of change quickly. So you might have a disease and sort of one day you might be feeling fine because you're managing it well with sort of treatment or medication, but then it could flare up later on that day or the next day. And so there might be higher levels of pain, discomfort, and so it can change quickly. And that's what that term sort of dynamic relates to. So here's a sample question and answer. Okay, so the sample question is, why is illness considered subjective? And the sample answer mentions there, as illness relates to a person's individual experience of a disease, this will be unique for each individual and therefore be viewed differently, and therefore it is subjective. So just sort of referring to the fact that, okay, it's a person's individual experience of disease shows that you understand that concept of illness, and then referring to the fact that it's unique for different individuals and therefore is viewed sort of differently shows that sort of subjective nature. If you were to be giving an example or asked in the question to use an example, make sure you refer to two individuals with the same disease, as that gives a good context, okay, for how illness is subjective, because as we mentioned before, two people can have the same disease but experience it differently, and that sort of demonstrates this concept of illness. Okay, so don't forget there is this great revision resource for practice questions leading up to your SACs and end of your exam. So this is a revision questions book that I've worked on with ACE for the 2025 to 2029 HHD study design. It's got over 500 marks worth of questions and sample A+ answers, as well as a full chapter on extended response questions. So you can head to book.acevc.com and order a copy of that, and it'll come in the post. We've also got other opportunities on our website for students and teachers of HHD, and you can see down the bottom here, you can also sign up to our free student newsletter if you just head to our website. It's coming out twice a term for Unit 3-4 students with lots of free SAC tips and advice, as well as resources. And so if you head to our website, you'll see there's a registration link to sign up for that. Okay, thanks so much.